It's gonna work. We got it. We got this.
You said it's gonna work. We got it. Let's see. It says setting up live feed, so it says we're live. Let's see. We're gonna see. Let me tell you, every time these we get on these devices, I have to pray. Okay, so it looks like we are live.
All right.
It looks like we are live. Let me start sharing. Hold on one second. Start sharing in my little groups here. Okay. Did you get your tag?
I don't know.
Should have tagged you.
Starting the watch party. There we go.
You got it?
Thanks.
All right. Oh, we got to get used to this virtual world. We're still trying to get used to this virtual world here that we're in. So I want to thank you, Mr. Kurt Ball, for joining me on the People of Power show. I'm the Kitty London host and creator, and I was so blown away by your viral video. I've shared it on my page, I've shared it in my groups, and like we were talking offline, it's something when a professional says colorful language, because it actually makes us say, you know what, we may need to pay attention to him or her, because they're serious. They have compassion about what they do. So I know that you're a physician assistant, you've been covering COVID, but reading your bio, I just didn't feel like getting you and talk about just the COVID, because you are so much more. You're in Philly now, but you were born in Belleglade. So I want you to talk about that, because for my Florida people who are looking at this, they're probably like, maybe I know him. Do he look familiar? So I want you to just give your introduction for us, and I'll start sharing again with some more groups.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Kurt Ball. I'm a physician assistant up here in Philadelphia. As she mentioned, I am from Belleglade, Florida, born and raised. I was actually raised on the outskirts on a small farming camp called South Shore Village. But of course, we did all our dealings in Belleglade, all of my family and friends. Graduated right there from Glade Central. Went to college at USF, UCF. Eventually went off to South Carolina to wrestle for a little bit. Started working in a prison. Then I found myself in medicine.
Oh, wait a minute. No, we're going to slow that. Listen, you know you're going through that life too. Let's first of all, we got to slow that down, because you said 3 monumental things in like one breath. Okay, we're going to break this down real quick. Right. You went to UCF.
Correct.
What was your major?
Criminal justice.
Okay, so you knew from, I don't know, when you're a little kid or whatever, that you wanted to be the popo, right? You wanted to be...
Actually, I never knew what I wanted to be. I actually didn't really want to be anything, truthfully. Like, I remember, I think, kindergarten, I made student of the week, and they were like, what do you want to be? And it was in the newspaper, and I was like, oh, I want to be a state trooper, because one time a state trooper picked me up and gave me a ride in his car. I don't even know if that's true, but I said that's what I wanted to do. But how I came into law enforcement, I was always in college, but I wasn't really working towards anything. Mm-hmm. Of course, getting good grades, but I didn't have an actual major. And I remember I was working on cars at the time. I was working at the Goodyear, and the supervisor was saying, hey, why don't you go work at the sheriff's office? I was in Tampa, and he was like, yo, they only work, 14 days? What he said, 14 days a week, 14 days a month. And I was like, really? At that time,
was expensive.
At that time, I was working 5 days a week. You know what I mean? I was working 50 hours at $10 an hour, and changing tires, changing oils, and, little maintenance stuff. And I was like, wow. And at the time, I used to deliver all my tires to the sheriff's office. From our shop, I would deliver probably 1,000 tires a week to that same department. So I applied like the next day, and then they hit me back. And I went through the whole process, and for whatever reason, they decided not to move forward with me or whatever, right? And that kind of started my quest. I was like, I'm going to get a degree in criminal justice. So I was at University of South Florida in Tampa, started working on my criminal justice degree, had some life events occur, and ended up moving to Orlando to go to UCF. So once I graduated from UCF, went back to Tampa to try to get back with the sheriff's office again. They ditched me again, and then I started working in a prison.
Wow. Now that's a story, because it happens. I mean, you got ditched twice and you were like, I'm still going to do this. This is
right. So after I got my degree, I was, I wanted to work on the road, actually. Mm-hmm. And I passed every polygraph, I passed every physical, I passed all of the, whatever that they put me through, I passed all of it, but then they would just get to the end and say, oh, we decided to go another direction. And I applied to so many police departments all around the state of Florida. And finally, I moved into the corrections. And once I got into corrections, I kind of settled there and went from state prison to federal prison. And then things started happening at the federal prison that I really wasn't comfortable with. I didn't like the process of promotions. Just didn't really feel like I had a lot of, growth there.
Mhm.
And I remember being, coming from the state prison to the federal prison was a completely different animal, because in the state prison, the uniform alone was enough to get you the respect from the inmates. But when you got to the federal prison, you had to get the respect on your own. So I
Mhm.
remember, like, they were so disrespectful. And I was like, wow, I didn't even do anything. And the guys were just so disrespectful. So I remember I started working out really hard. And I was saying, the first inmate that I touch, I'm going to smash him. And I
Mhm.
was working out so hard, and I started having some chest pains. So I went to the doctor, and the guy that came in the room was a physician assistant. He was 25 years old. I was 25 years old. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm in here about to fight inmates. And here he is, seeing patients looking a lot comfortable, looking really good in his white coat. I'm like, I should be doing that. So he was like, oh, it's a master's degree. Like, 2 more years of school, right? So I went home, looked it up. It was a whole bunch of prereqs that I didn't want to take at the time. I didn't want to do sciences and anatomy and physiology and all that stuff. And I still stayed at the prison for, I think, 3 more years. And finally, I didn't get a promotion that I wanted. And I was like, you know what, I'm done. So I went to the night shift, started taking my prereqs, and I worked midnight to 8. While I was at work all night at my desk, doing my work, reading the book. I got all A's in all of my prereqs. I thought
Wow.
at a free clinic. It was the days that I were able to volunteer were OBGYN days. So I did a lot of pap smears and a lot of
Oh wow.
we did a lot of GYN
Uh-huh.
issues for immigrants that didn't have any insurance and they were undocumented.
Mhm.
I did vitals and was just getting familiar with basic medicine. So that's how I got my hours to get in. So all out, going to work, getting off at 8 o'clock, maybe having to go to class for another 3 hours, and then some days I'm at the clinic at the same time. So between work,
Mhm.
clinic, my hours and stuff. And once I got all my prereqs, I applied to 22 schools um, because I wasn't the strongest applicant. I didn't have a ton of medical experience. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, I had a decent GPA, but I just wasn't the best applicant. Most applicants have 2 years, 3 years, EMT, paramedics, and all that other good stuff. So, I cast my net all the way from Florida to Syracuse. Um,
Wow.
and I got accepted to the school here in Philadelphia, and that's how I got to Philadelphia.
That's
So
how you got to Philly. I mean, that's a story. Like correction officer for about 5 years,
about 7 years.
7 years. So while you're in the corrections, you studied to be a physician assistant. Like
Correct.
that is so crazy to me. Because, like, for example, in my past life, right? I call myself wanting to be a medical assistant, right? I want because just like that was like a trend back in my day. Everybody was a medical assistant, RN, LPN. So, right, when you get grown, it's hard to go to school and be grown. I'm going to school right now, but everything is online.
Right.
But what stopped me from being an RN, because I was thinking about, oh, this is good money, is the schedule. Because literally they were like, you gotta do this from 8 to 5. And then I was like, well, when am I gonna work? When am I gonna take care of bills? And then you have to do it was a lot. So you did all that.
Right.
Wow. Somebody said, Geraldine said, that's dope. I love your story. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anyone who's talking or saying anything, because I like to get you, when they're showing you some love, I like for me to read it off. But that is so crazy. Like, and I don't know if people saw the video, and if you're looking, I posted the video that I call Mr. Ball occur. I know you're younger than me, but I'm still calling you Mr. Ball because you earn that respect. He put on, and he was very passionate about COVID-19. So this young man here has gone from being a correction officer to a physician assistant. Like that is so nuts. So you went to Philly, you got into the school, and that was pretty. What is a culture shock though, coming from Florida to Philly? You had to get that cold weather.
I had to do what I had to do. So,
Mhm.
I feel like it's all part of the plan. So I knew there were going to be some obstacles that come with it. So You know, one thing I don't run from the obstacles. I knew what the end goal was. So you got to go through what you got to go through to get what you got to get, right?
Right. And now you were what, 25, 26 when you transitioned?
No, I was 29 when I finally
Ooh,
decided to go back to PA school. Well, I was 29 when I left to go to school. So
that's even more.
something like
That's more kudos. Let me tell you, I'm in school. You know that brain don't work the same when you get older.
you're actually a better student when you get older because you're able to sit down. I never thought I could. I'm not a person that read a lot. I didn't grow up reading a lot. I never thought I could sit down for 12 hours and read. There were times where I couldn't wait till Saturday to get to school at 9 o'clock, and I was going to be out there till 9 p.m. You know, reading because I'm coming from law enforcement. I don't have any of this information, so I had to learn everything from the ground up. So I needed that time. So I would sit out there. I'll watch 100,000 YouTube videos. I'll just watch. You know, if we're talking about something in the bladder, I'll watch 40 videos on the bladder. Eventually, somebody in one of those videos is going to say something that's going to stick, and it's going to start making sense. So for me, it may have taken a little bit more than it might take you, but I had to do
No,
it.
it ain't gonna. It won't. That won't happen for me. I know.
But I knew it was short lived. You know, it was 1 year of hell in the classroom, and the next year was all in the hospital. So just going to rotation. So I felt like, you know what, I just got to do this for 12 months. And I put my head down. I ran forward. It was the worst year of my life, but it worked itself out. You know.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. Commitment and dedication. I mean, that's just so amazing to me. So you went through, it was about like 2 years, you said? About two?
25 months total.
Wow.
Yeah. Basically,
Wow.
they're teaching us to be a doctor in 2 years. So the stuff that medical students go through, they normally have 2 years to learn this stuff. We learned it all in 1 year. So we don't learn exactly what the doctors learn, but for the most part, we have a pretty good understanding of it. But they get 2 years to really take their time and learn every, bits and pieces of it. We had to kind of like cram it all into 1 year. So it was an exam every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You don't study for the Wednesday exam until Monday after you finish that exam. You don't study for the Friday's exam until Wednesday after you study that exam. So that's head down, ran for it. And it just never stops for a whole year,
So what advice would you give people who are, they have that change or that epiphany in life? They're, like you said, they may be in their late 20s or early 30s, and they realize, like, you know what, I really don't like what I'm doing. I've always wanted to be this, or I've always thought about this, or I had a fascination for this. What would you tell those type of people who are just maybe scared to try because they feel like they're quote unquote older?
Well, I would first tell them to find out what is the main reason why you're apprehensive about going into it, and really challenge yourself and say, is that really enough to keep me miserable the way that I am right now? And if it's enough to keep you miserable, then stay there and be miserable. But if it's not, then go ahead and go through what you got to go through to get what you got to get, because, we didn't make it to where we are today by just, sleeping in our misery. We felt like we had to do something about it, and that's how you overcome it. That's what it was for me. I knew that, at that time, I didn't mind fighting. I didn't mind wrestling the inmates and stuff, but I knew I couldn't be doing that at 50 years old. Inmates fight over somebody getting skipped in the microwave line. I got to go out there and tussle with them. What if I break or twist my ankle or sprain an ankle? A lot of that stuff never heals. So I'm walking around for the next 60 years with a bad ankle because somebody got skipped in the microwave.
Right. And I want to talk a little bit about, what you can talk about a little bit offline, because, you coming from that correctional background, and now that you're seeing all this stuff full out on TV about, cops against us. And I know every cop is not bad. I have a lot of cops that are friends, but I know that there's that thing that as civilians, we kind of fear cops now because of all the things that you see. And you said something very good offline. I want you maybe can repeat this, but about the relationships that we should have with police officers and vice versa, and even with the colleagues that even when you ran and you were in the corrections, what you saw.
I feel like everything should be done with tact. It's about how you do things. And a lot of times, if you're tactful and you're firm about it, you usually can get your point across very well and effectively with minimal obstacles and stuff like that. So a lot of times it's how you say what you need to say. A lot of times when I see a lot of these interviews, automatically they let their aggression get the best of them. And once you get aggressive, that causes the other person to get aggressive also. And at that point, there's a barrier between the communication, and it's hard to get anything accomplished. If you're a man or you're a woman, if you look that person directly in the eyes and you let them know, listen, I don't understand why you're talking to me like that, but that's not the way that we talk to each other. The whole time I've been talking to you, I've been talking to you with respect. I feel like you haven't been doing the same to me. Is there a reason for that? Let me know exactly what makes it okay for you to do what you're doing right now, or why do you feel that's the perfect thing to do? And if you hit a person with that, they have to be a really ignorant person to continue moving forward. And most of the time, no matter whether it was me talking to an inmate, saying that to an inmate, or saying that to a fellow officer, or saying that to an officer in the streets, usually after that point, a person know that, okay, maybe this person has some substance, because I know he could have raised his voice, but he didn't, So there may be a little bit more behind this guy. So a lot of times when you approach a situation like that, usually they know who they're dealing with.
Right. I just wanted to make sure I didn't. Andre says, thanks for sharing. And if you do have any questions for Mr. Ball, please don't hesitate. He is a physician assistant. So if you have any medical questions that he can answer, I'm sure he won't mind, because that's what he loves to do right now. But we are talking about just basically him and his whole journey with going from being a correction officer to now a physician assistant. And he's on the front line dealing with this demon of coronavirus. So like I said, if you have any questions, and I would like you to share the video, because these are the type of people that we need to, I always say, the great people never go viral. I mean, we know you got over 500,000 views now, but I think what you're doing and what you've been through is so amazing to me. It's so dope, seeing, African-American kings, do all this great stuff. And that's why I wanted you on the show, because I feel that you're really dope. And I want you to be able to tell people your journey, to inspire someone. And I'm sure you inspire me, because you're doing a lot of amazing things.
I appreciate that. And don't forget, I am the landlord.
Yes, you are. So we're going to get into the landlord. Now this, it only gets better. Let me tell you, with my interviews, I have layers. I know, you might get on some people's show and they just go, listen, no, I got to unpeel you, right? To get to the seed of everything. So we're going to talk real quick too about the COVID situation. This is how I got you on the show, because I saw your viral video and you were basically like, listen, people. And I think you've been doing a series of videos actually before your viral video went out. You were kind of just letting people know what's going on with your patients, of course, without telling who your patients are. But you were just basically letting us know the severity. And I wanted you to kind of tell people, because, we hear things on social media. It's not real. It's whatever. It's this, but you see it.
Right.
See it. So can you talk a little bit about, like what you see your patients go through when they come in and how they sometimes don't come out?
Right. So before I get into that, I want to backtrack on the question that you asked me before about people wanting to do something to change their life, but for some reason they can't do it. Coming up here pretty soon, I'm going to do a series of videos where I'm interviewing different people in the medical field, and like, hey, how did you get this? Did you have to go to school for 2 years, 3 years? Oh, wow, what was the program like? Just to kind of open people's eyes, like, wow, I can do that. So you mean to tell me in 6 months I could be a radiology tech and I only work these amount of days? Oh, I can do that. I can find 6 months of my life to set aside. So I do plan to do a series of those, and I'm gonna share them on my YouTube page, and likely I'm gonna tease it on my Instagram, but share it on the YouTube page. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing, just to try to kind of open people's ears and let them know what's available. Because when I was coming up in school, I didn't really know everything that was available, because everything wasn't exposed to us out in the
Nobody told us, right? It was like a secret.
Right. So nobody exposed us, because a lot of stuff I would have been done a long time ago had I known. So that's why I do so much now, because I'm trying to play catch up, because I know like there's so much information out there now. So that's one of the things I want to do right there. So that's that. Moving forward with the COVID is a monster in itself. I will admit that when it first started, I didn't believe it. I was like, oh, it's something that's going to blow over. And, for me personally, I was able to see how COVID progressed from nothing to a monster that it is right now, because I'm going to work every day, working at 2 different hospitals, and I'm seeing patients going through my normal flow, and then all of a sudden you start to see an uptick in patients, and they're all for the same thing. Everybody's having respiratory issues, and you see stuff just getting worse and worse and worse, you know. And for me, I'm still pretty much considered a new PA. I graduated in 2018, but I didn't start working until February of 2019. So for me, all I'm doing is just trying to soak as much information as I can, trying to learn, you know. And for me, seeing these patients go through all these different changes has been really challenging for me, because stuff happens so fast. And if you don't have the experience, you know, you could be talking to a patient today, and then 30 minutes later, you're in there laughing and joking, because that's what I do. I joke. So my patients are laughing and joking, and I leave out of the room, and I'm sitting down, you know, having some dinner or something. And then there's an RRT, and I go in there, and he like completely can't breathe, all the way until the point where we're sticking a tube down his throat, when I was just having a general conversation with this guy. He was walking around the room, breathing on his own, no oxygen or nothing like that, till he's been intubated and going to ICU. So it was just pretty much like a whole 2 months of just COVID, 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 COVID. Every day when you come to work, you got on a lot of equipment, sweating is uncomfortable, but you can't compromise the integrity of the equipment, because you run the risk of exposing yourself to the, you know, the respiratory droplets. Imagine doing CPR on the patient. As you're doing CPR, they're breathing out, blowing out respirations, and you don't want that to get on you at the same time. So you kind of have to maintain your integrity of the job to make sure you do the best for the patient, but you also want to keep yourself safe, you know. So I got to do CPR on somebody with COVID, hoping that they don't blow stuff on me, you know. So you're just trusting your equipment. So, you know, a lot of people look at it. There's two ways you can look at it. The way I look at it is, this job has provided me a lifestyle that I really appreciate. The freedom, the autonomy that I have, I love it. So now that this is a tough time, I still have to step up and do my job. There are a lot of professionals right now that are really anxious about this thing. And, you know, I'm hoping that they're still able to do their job with the same integrity that they were doing it with before this, because this thing is really a beast in itself. And
do you think that because you worked in corrections, that, because I mean, in prisons you see everything. I'm sure you know, people get ganked, and what they call it gank, and you know, things happen, riots, right? I'm sure you've seen a lot dealing with that. Do you think some of that kind of prepared you as far as not freaking out as much in the ER?
Because I feel like this is nothing compared to what I've seen before. You know, me and a good friend may be sitting in the housing unit talking, and then there's a body alarm, and we go out there in the yard, and you got 15 guys all with knives and belts with locks on it trying to kill each other, and all I got is a little bit of mace, you know. And I got to run out there and tackle those guys. So just seeing that happening for, you know, 6-7 years, this is nothing, you know, like this is cake to me. So, you know, I guess that's.
Can you medically like maybe explain, because that's like freaky to me. Like you're saying, I'm talking to a patient 1 minute, they're joking or whatever, they're joking with you, but what causes them to, I guess, stop breathing or not breathing in a matter of an hour?
Right. So some people, COVID may not affect their lungs, so that's why they don't get to that point. You know, like the people that say I'm asymptomatic, those are the people that, yeah, I have the virus, but it's not affecting me. You know, they may feel a little weak, they may feel a little fatigued. You can have some, you know, flu-like symptoms. So that's why when this first started, we thought people had the flu. You was giving them Tamiflu, but then things were getting worse, because Tamiflu is what you normally treat the flu with. So eventually, after further research, they figure out, whoa, this is a virus. It's from the coronavirus family, but this ain't the same coronavirus that you're used to. All right, coronavirus like the common cold. So some people, it causes an increase of inflammatory markers to invade the lungs. Basically, let me try to explain it the basic way. Usually when there's an infection going on in the body, your body has all type of mechanism to go and fight the virus or fight the bacteria or whatever you got going on, the infection, right? With COVID, it causes so much of those things to come that there becomes a cytokine storm where there's too many people fighting. They're fighting so much on the inside of you that it's actually killing you. And when it gets to that point, there's no way to stop it. And basically what happens is it tears up all of the parenchyma, with basically the lung tissue, to the point to where you can no longer breathe, because what the lung does is it takes oxygen in, and then it goes down, and then it shoots the oxygen across to the blood, get it in the blood, oxygen go to everywhere in the body. But think about it, if all of that stuff is messed up in there, you're going to take the oxygen in, but it can't get to the bloodstream. So then, you don't get good fresh blood to your legs, fresh blood to your brain, fresh blood to all of your organs and your skin and stuff. So it just, that storm just goes in there and just causes so much damage and lung damage that it's hard to come back from. And if you look at a lot of the conspiracy people were saying, stop putting people on the vent. Well, if I'm talking to you right now, we're breathing 100%, right? But when you get down to 80%, then how am I supposed to get you to 100%? We have to give you oxygen. And then as your oxygen gets lower and lower, we have to change the way that we give you the oxygen. We start out with the tube in your nose, like you see the elderly people walking around, and then we put the little mask on top of you, and eventually that doesn't work. Then we put another tube that shoots a lot of air in there. That doesn't work. Then we put you on the CPAP thing, like what the people with sleep apnea that can't sleep. So this one actually push air in and it pulls air out. So we basically breathing for you. And that doesn't work, because as the lungs get worse and worse, we have to do more to try to give you oxygen. Intubation is the last step. That means we're all the way down in the lungs, and we're actually pushing air and pulling it out. We're breathing. We're telling you exactly how deep the breath should be, how many times you should breathe within a minute, and stuff like that. So as it gets worse and worse, there's no cure for it. And when you intubate someone, you're supposed to intubate them while you fix what's going on. The problem with COVID is we don't know how to fix it. So we're intubating you, and we don't even know what to do to fix you in the meantime. We do the vitamin C, we do the zinc. We've tried different antibiotics right now. So now we're up to remdesivir and one called tocilizumab, and we've been doing the plasma, and we are seeing some improvements with those. So those look promising. But before we got to the those few drugs that I just mentioned, it was just trying like the common medication that you use for pneumonia, but they wasn't working. People was just getting worse and worse. So I do think it's getting better right now. But in the meantime, the medication that we have that has been showing some promise, it's not a lot of it. So that doesn't mean like, oh, they found a cure, let me go hang out, because we know they got the remdesivir and the tocilizumab, but you can't get it like that. It's not that available. So people should still try to cool it down a little bit, make sure that the labs and stuff have enough time to produce this stuff in mass quantities, so that we can be prepared for this if it happens again. But
listen, I don't want none of it. I don't care if you got a cure that
right.
3 days. Right. But I know, so like when you see now, because I know we're in our phase 1 in most states right now where we're reopening, and you got a set of people who are still like, listen, I'm going to quarantine myself. I'm not going out like that. I'm just going to go as needed. And then you got some people that was like a green light. That was like, it is what it is. Even when we were supposed to have a launch, I don't know if you saw the bridge, they just put it on CNN, but it was like, people were just like, it looked like New York when it came to like New Year's. Right. Everybody was close. So I mean, there was zero social distancing. Right. And obviously with the riots, there's zero social distancing. Exactly. So when you see that as a medical professional, what do you say to yourself when you still see people just like whatever?
I feel like that, a lot of times people are doing what they're doing because they have lack of knowledge. So if you're not seeing it, then you can't believe it. And as the inmates always said, I wish somebody would let us see inside the prison so that we can see how it is before we make the decision we made.
That's so what you said.
My job is I'm trying to paint a picture for you without compromising, patient's identity and stuff like that, violating any HIPAA laws and stuff. I'm telling you exactly what I'm saying. If you choose not to believe the information and you still want to do what you want to do, at least you've been informed. So, and people still say that, oh, he's just been a puppet. That's fine. If you think I'm a puppet, that's fine. Let me go back to my strings. I just wanted to come and tell you some information.
That's not like you. You have no problem with reading.
I do. Either way, I'm going to be doing what I need to do either way. So go ahead and, carry on.
Yeah, that was, remember I said you said something about being a correctional officer, and I said, I don't know what it is you said, but I wanted you to repeat, and that's what it was. That inmates said if they could see or could have saw a glimpse of prison before. Because I remember back in the day, there used to be an episode called Scared Straight. And I said to myself, I wish that they would do that in every high school. And I know some parents might not sign a waiver, but I would sign a waiver so my child could see what prison looked like.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, I believe wholeheartedly that would stop a lot of things from happening if they could see it
Exactly.
before they actually got into it.
Right. Most definitely.
I love that. So we're going to talk about too. You are the landlord. We were talking about you also are a homeowner. So talk a little bit about that too, because with all that you got going on, how do you find the time to do this too?
I just grind it out, man. Well, like, as I said, being a PA, it provided me the best lifestyle. 3 days a week is pretty much considered full time.
Mm.
So, you can just pretty much schedule yourself how you want. And I'm per diem too. So I don't work for anybody full time. I just pick the days that I want. Like I go and look at the calendar, I'll say, give me this day, this day, this day, this day. If my projects pick up really heavy, once I really get started and all this is over, I may not work for a whole month, or I may just go 2 or 3 days a month and then focus on my project because I'm gonna make so much more if I flip this house than me going to work. So
how did you get up on the real estate? Because like I said, when we were offline, when people are entrepreneurs, a lot of times they're not born entrepreneurs. This is something that we're taught. Maybe somebody said something to you, say, man, you're making this good money now, you need to invest in some houses. So how did that come about?
So I always wanted to do it. Even before I moved up here, I was in Tampa. I wanted to get some real estate, and I wish I had it because the prices that they had in Tampa at that time, back in 2016, were really good. I didn't jump, I didn't pull the trigger, but when I got here, I remember I met this lady, and she says, "I'm a realtor." I said, "Yo, I want a duplex," and she was like, "Well, you got to get a pre-approval and all this and that." Before I show you some houses, she sent me like 10 houses. I was like, okay, I want to see this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And she was like, oh, you got to get a pre-approval. You got to sign this. And I was like, I don't want to do none of that stuff. I'm telling you, if I like the house, I'm going to get approved. Don't worry about that. She's like, well, I can't waste my time like that. I said, okay, no problem. So I went and found a house on Zillow and hit click for information. That's when my now mentor, he gave me a call and said, hey, I heard you were interested in this property. I was like, yeah, I want to see this one, this one, this one, this one. He said, all right, let's meet Saturday. Just like that. Now, this was a black lady that was supposed to show me the place, and she didn't want to show it to me unless I sign a waiver and pre-approval and all this. This is a Greek guy that don't know me from nothing. He showed me the property. The first one we seen, we were like, all right, we want to pull the trigger on it. From there, he became my mentor. He was like, listen, you can do the FHA loan where you only have to put 3.5% down. That'll only be like $7,000. I'm like, what? That's it? We got the property for $7,000. The mortgage was like $950. When I first started renting it, I rented the top unit for $1,100 and the bottom units for $985. I did a $10,000 rehab on the bottom with no experience, just winging it, and made money right there. And that was just how it started. And since then, he's been mentoring me. I've just been grinding information out. So my whole second year of PA school, while I was in clinicals, I started doing my real estate. So when I graduated from PA school, I was starting 2 careers at the same time. So I was learning medicine and learning real estate at the same time. So, and I love both of them equally. So it was just crazy, trying to like soak up all this information because it's so much money and it's just so much freedom in real estate. But then I also have so much freedom in medicine also, because when I go to work, nobody bothers me. I have my patients to see.
Mm-hmm.
I work 12 hours. I could potentially have 10 patients. Once I see my 10 patients, I'm done for the rest of the day. Sometimes I may go in at 7 a.m. I'm done seeing all my patients by 1 p.m. So I'm just relaxing from 1 to 7. If I get a call from the nurses or if there's an RT or something, I'll go to that. But for the most part, like what job? That's cake. I had 30 jobs. Jobs don't get that good. So
listen, how many of y'all want to be a physician assistant?
Right, like it's just the best. Like one day I worked an 8-hour shift at one hospital, and then I went to work 12 hours overnight at the other hospital because it's not really working. So I did a 20-hour shift, and it's not really working, because you like relaxing.
So again, a part of the advice, because again, you have mentors. So I feel like you can bless somebody with, just a little piece of information. How important do you think it is to own multiple properties? Because, when you get into the landlord You're not just owning one unit.
Right. Man, it's very important because you have to create some type of stability for yourself. Like even in a time like this, um, worst case, you get a few units and you put Section 8. Section 8 still paying right now during this pandemic. So just imagine if you lost your job and you have 5 properties all paying $900. You know, that's $4,500 that you got coming in a month. Most people don't make $4,500 a month, you know, and with real estate, you can get to that status very easy with the minimal amount of effort. I share this information all the time for free on my Instagram. Nobody bites. Some people.
Well, you know, you can do it, but it takes people to want to do it. One, and then I think two, the education piece on, you know, how to start. You know, you got to kind of have a little oomph about yourself, and then, you know, of course, is that money thing that we how much money? But like you said, 3.5. I mean, again, and then also your credit has some sure be.
But credit is the easiest thing to fix in the age of information that we're in right now. It's so easy to fix your credit. I have a good friend right now that's fixing credit for $325. I keep telling this girl, like, you got to raise this price because that's too cheap. And she's doing some amazing stuff, and she's doing it so fast that I can't believe it. And she won't give me any of the secrets or whatever. But this girl can have your credit right in no time for $325, and you can turn around and go to another company and get 60 to 70,000 in business credit. You know, just that easy. You got 70,000, you can pull that money off the card, and just think if you do, you know, multiple properties, you can potentially take $60,000 and do 3 projects, you know, and 20,000 is your down payment on 3 projects. You can do 3 flips and potentially make 30 grand on each one of those, you know, working for yourself. Like, and this is something you can do part-time, because it's not like you're doing the work yourself. You put yourself in a position to have the money to pay the right people to do the work, but like, it's too easy to not be doing it. And that's why I don't understand why everyone is not doing it. And I'm okay with that because, you know, leave more skin in the game for me. But I do share the information. I never hide any information. I don't allow people to call me anymore and give them the game because they just wasting my time. And like, I'm busy. I've been at the property today, putting in floors, ripping up floors, loading my dump truck. Then I come here, I'm doing this with you. I'm not going to let somebody get on the phone just to ask me a bunch of questions that I've already said in my Instagram.
Your Instagram. So this YouTube channel, you just started this, right?
Yes.
So what can we expect? Because I'm going to start sharing your YouTube. But what can we expect from you on this channel?
So my YouTube, what I hope to get a HGTV special.
Okay. So, you mean like the flip the homes kind
of? Whatever they propose, something with the houses, you know.
Okay.
So with my YouTube, I plan to mix my real estate and my medicine at the same time. But I kind of, you know, as you said, I'm a little rough around the edges, so I kind of want to give it from a raw standpoint. Yes, I do flip houses. Yes, I do have tenants. So, you know, I do my landlord diaries where I talk about some stories that I've been having. You know, the issues that we deal with being a landlord. People think because you're a landlord, you're rich, so you should also automatically take losses. You know, oh, you're a landlord, so you shouldn't worry about it. Well, I still got my own bills to pay too, so you know that's just that's the business that I have. So I plan to mix it up a little bit, do some tutorial videos. I like to show my before and afters. Also,
you like the house doctor.
So you know, my shirt on the back of my shirts, I put Dr. Landlord. You know.
Okay.
So I'm working on some stuff, and that's what I plan to do. Just kind of like expose people to the medical field, and also expose people to, you know, the real estate at the same time, and just, you know, provide knowledge and just keep a positive image between the two.
Hello, Dr. Jerisa Bear. I had you remember I was telling you offline how I had a ER doctor who was a friend who talked about the COVID. She just chimed in and she's waving her hand. Jerisa, this is the physician assistant in Philly. He was born and raised in Belleglade, but he, you know, we lost him. We lost him in Florida, so now he's he never coming back.
Too much money here.
So that's what I was going to ask you too with the real estate market, because I'm sure you kind of look at other places just to kind of see the market, and we're pretty high when you say.
Yeah, and talking about in Florida. Oh
yeah.
I've been trying to get some property down there since I started. The numbers just don't make sense, you know. And for even people who want to invest, people in Florida say they want to invest, it just don't make sense because, you know, like we said, that the FHA is 3.5 to 5%. So if you had the worst credit, you're going to pay 5%. You know, you have to have at least a 580 credit score. So your payment may be 5%, right? But the houses are going for 200,000. So you got to come out your pocket 10,000, you know, versus here, like we got a house that we're looking to purchase now for 42,000, you know, and it's probably going to need 30 grand in work that can easily be sold for 140. So you see those numbers, right? You know, like
I watch Home Guard. I see how they flipped out. But you know what I do? And Jerisa, Dr. Berry wants to say thank you for all that you do. Arlene says thank you for all that you do. I do see a Home Guard, and I do think that there are more people who look like us that need to represent on those shows, because it seems like, you know, minorities don't buy homes, or we don't flip homes, or we don't invest in homes, and that is so not the truth. And I think those TV stations need to represent or be more diverse. But I would also tell you too, you know, pitch it to the other stations. I mean, maybe pitch it to OWN, TV1, you know.
Right.
Hey,
I just got to get my technology. Once I start networking more, maybe somebody say, hey, I'll produce a show, you know, and I'll follow you around. And from there, I get the gist.
Start doing, yeah, but you're covering your footage now, though, right? When you do the homes, the before and afters and all that.
Yeah, you know, I'll
so
start on the project and stuff like that. And I'm going to be playing around more with my media, you know, applications and stuff like that. Try to produce more professional looking videos. And from there, you know, write my own story.
So when you got viral, you join me. So just make sure now, when you become that big TV reality Dr. Home, Dr. Landlord, don't forget about me now, because I'm gonna call you back up and be like,
listen, I'm still me right now. The people that know me when we were back in Belleglade, when they talk to me, it's the same person. I'm always the same person because I was that person before, you know.
I love it. So I know you you know, you're tired, but did you have anything else or final words you want to say? I know my people, they look quiet today, child. You know, usually they have, like, especially when I get doctors and lawyers on, Lord, they have like 20 million questions about, you know.
Talk to me. What's up? What's
no, I don't think it's they don't want to talk to you. I think I don't know. You know, it's Friday. People are out now.
Right.
And they're gonna be coming in your office soon. They have issues. Yeah. Jeline says humility. Yes, humility. But I want to just again just say thank you, because I know a lot of times, you know, especially I call you frontline, you essential workers. You all see it all, and I don't know how much it takes a toll on you mentally to have patience, and I don't know how attached you get, but then to lose patience, I'm sure that has to do something to you. When you come home, you're wore out.
No, we don't get attached. You know, it's a part of you know, with the medicine, for me and a lot of people I talk to, once you understand the pathophysiology behind what's happening.
You use a big word. What'd you say?
Once you understand what's going on inside of the body, you know that this should happen next. This should happen next. And from there, you're not really emotionally attached to it, because you understand, like, well, if the oxygen was, if your O2 sats was at 70 and it continues to go down, then eventually you're not going to be able to breathe. So I know that this should happen. You know, if I came in today and your heart rate was at 25, I don't expect you to be here when I get back tomorrow, because you can't continue to breathe at, you know, those low numbers. So kind of like, once we understand what's going on, we can kind of predict the prognosis, or, you know, how the turnout, how it's going to be. So a lot of times we're not as attached. I think when I first got started, I was, you know, just to like see somebody dead, I would just watch, I would just stare at them like, wow. And then you start seeing the same stuff happen every time they die. They always look like this. They always do this. So you kind of routine, you know, I got stuff to do. You know, and a lot of times if they were full code status, we do the CPR for 30, 45 minutes. Once it's over, we got to get back to our stations, you know, because we were doing something when the RRT got called, you know, or when the code blue got called. So it's kind of just going through the motions, you know. For me, you know, I think kids would be my trigger. So I don't do pediatrics, and I hope I continue to stay away from seeing kid traumas and stuff like that. But if it's the adults.
See, like with COVID, have you seen many kids have it?
I haven't seen any kids personally.
Good.
I don't know if they go to the, you know, the children's hospital or something like that. I haven't seen any at my hospital.
Oh, you have a question. Janice says, do you think it's wise for kids to return to school in the fall?
Oh, my kids are doing homeschool from here on out, so we're not going back.
Really?
Never. Yeah.
How, well, do you mind how, I mean, are they young? Young?
I got twin boys. They're 8.
Oh, twin boy, and they're 8, and you're like,
Yeah. So
homeschool.
yeah. Uh, school is a money thing too. We just got a message recently said something about the school is losing money or something like that. So that let me know that it's not about the kids also.
Mm,
So a lot of things are going to be. So me being a landlord, I understand it. From a business standpoint, I would love for things to open back up because I'm losing money. But from a human standpoint, I understand that we do need to stay closed because they don't have a handle. Now, my hospital personally, our numbers are down like ridiculous. Like we're looking good. Like we went from having maybe like 150 COVID patients down to I think what 50, 60 between the two hospitals. Because one of my hospitals has 2 different locations. So between the 2 locations, we're down to less than 50 people. And then my other hospital, I was there Monday night. I worked a night shift, and we only had a small amount there too. So the numbers in this area of New Jersey, because I live in Pennsylvania, but I work in New Jersey. In that area of New Jersey, the numbers are down. So I can't say what's going to happen in New York, but I do feel like the numbers are going to go back up in Florida because everybody just went from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah, and it's still happening. I think we're kind of getting caught up on a lot of other media right now that's going on, but um, from what we're seeing, still it's still out there.
I have a friend that's a nurse in New York. Well, she's not a friend. She's through Facebook. She's from Atlanta, but she took a temporary New York job, and she says it's still pumping out there. Like they got the parking lot with the ICU out there. People are coming in. People are crashing all day. She come in today. She leave. When she come back the next day, the patient dead, or the patient in the ICU, or the patient intubated. So it's still rocking in New York. So for people in other areas that act like this is not happening, imagine what's going to happen when the flights get going again. So you got the people from New York coming to Florida because the weather is nice, South Beach. So they're going to be bringing that different strain of coronavirus down there, and the numbers are going to go up. And me personally, as I said, I'm per diem, which means I pick my own shifts. I don't have a full time. So when it hits Florida and they start to offer that hazard pay and start to pay you all this money to come, I'm gonna come down there and get that money.
Well, listen, how afraid are you to get it? Does that ever cross your mind that you can contract this?
It's gonna be what it's gonna be. We got to do what you got to do. So,
wow.
I'm not moved that easily. I think at this point, if we're using the correct PPE, we should be fine because I've been using my N95 with my goggles and all that good stuff, the gowns and the gloves, and I'm good at this far. So I feel like as long as I continue to do that, I should be fine. The problem is when you get tired and you start adjusting your mask because you don't want to hear it. But I have a routine. Every time I come out of every room, I do the exact same thing to make sure that, to try to decrease my chance of contaminating myself.
And Denise says, when do you think we will exist in the world without masks and gloves?
I would say, this is my opinion. I think we're going to slowly open back up. The shit is going to pop off again. And then they're not going to know what to do. They're going to want to shut it down, but they can't shut it down because economically we can't withstand if we continue to stay down. And from there, we're going to, it's going to get worse. And a lot of young people are going to start passing because we are seeing a lot 41-year-old patients, 40-year-old patients coming in with COVID, requiring oxygen, meaning that they're not doing so well. And I think it's going to pop off again. And then we're going to shut everything down again. We're going to be forced to shut it down again because the people are going to start speaking up. And at that point, then the numbers will start to go all the way down, and then it will, we can get rid of it. But I would say probably another year. That's what I'm thinking.
Your opinion. So we're gonna pretend. We're gonna play a little pretend here. We're gonna pretend like we're the secret little society right now, right? And for the people that's gonna listen to you, because you got people who are gonna be like, whatever. But for the people that are gonna listen to you, and I got my ears wide open, let me just tell you, what advice do you give the people who don't want to get it, obviously, and want to stay protected? What are the things that we should be doing so we will not be in those numbers?
So I think that you should look at this from a selfish standpoint. Think about yourself at the end of the day. Um, if whatever you've been doing for 2 months, right? You've been forced to sit in your house for 2 months, bored or whatever out of your mind. Some people, I've taken it as the best time of my life. Been fixing all kind of stuff on my house. Whatever you've been doing for those 2 months, think about it. You've been alive for 2 months. I have seen multiple patients that have died over the last 2 months. So that could have been you. So whatever you've done to keep yourself safe over those 2 months, I think you should continue to do that, because if you don't, if you get caught up in what's going on in the world, it's going to force you to go out there when you probably should not have been. And you're going to be a part of the results that should not have happened. Like, we open up, you thought it was cool because, listen, I got to go to work anyway. I don't have any money. But you've been eating for 2 months. You didn't have any money for 2 months and you still survive, right? You figured out that you can live off a lot less than what you used to live off. So continue to do that and not make yourself a statistic. And continue to keep yourself safe, because if this thing pops off and you rush yourself out there and go to work and you get COVID and you die, then was it worth it? And to be blunt, and don't take it the wrong way, as I mentioned, most people don't make $4,500 a month anyway. So are you going to go out there for that $13 hour job or that $15 hour? Is that job really worth dying for? And a lot of the jobs are not even equipping people with the right PPE. You go into Home Depots. I go to Home Depot every day. They're in there with just regular masks. The cloth mask is just, if I got a mask on, a cloth one, and you got a cloth one on, it decreases the amount of exposure, right? But what about the person that comes in there that keeps it, because everybody's wearing it under their nose, right? So that person that's wearing it under his nose and he's sneezing in Home Depot, those particles are going to slip right through that cotton and you're going to get coronavirus. So everybody don't have the luxury of walking around with N95s, So people think that just because you got the cloth on, you're safe. And most of the people ain't wearing the cloth the right way anyway. They're wearing it under their nose or they're wearing it under their neck. So, you're going to go to a job, they're going to give you a surgical mask. People in the nursing home, they're telling the people to wear the surgical mask for a week, So I'm going to wear the surgical mask in the nursing home. The patients are spitting on me and talking on me for a whole week. How strong do you think that little surgical mask is going to last, right? I switch surgical masks out to every patient that I see, I wear my N95, I put the surgical mask on top. When I come out of that patient room, I take that surgical mask off and put a fresh one on top of my N95, But they're in nursing homes, they're having people wear them for a whole week. So just imagine different companies and stuff, they're not even giving people the right equipment that you need to protect yourself. So do you want to go out there to that 14, 15, or even $20 an hour job when they're not even giving you the right equipment? And it's not like you can go and buy the equipment on your own because it's not available. Everything is shortage. So I would personally say, sit at the house, chill, work on a skill. So when this is all over, you can be prepared for the next pandemic, because if it happened one time, it's probably going to happen again. So we should all be preparing ourselves for the next pandemic and to be in a good position.
You got questions. What? I think Arlene says, what precautions do you take to protect your family?
The kids don't leave the house, if they do, they're in the car. We might go through drive-through or something like that. But for the most part, they don't leave the house. We're going to work and we're coming right back. When I'm out, like today, I was working at my project. I had my N95 mask on all day. The other two guys, they didn't have their mask on, but I had my N95 mask on. So we're standing side by side with each other, screwing in nails, cutting wood. I got my N95, I got my safety goggles on. So even if they have droplets, I'm protecting myself.
And so when Celicia Smith-Gordon says, Home Depot employees have their mask on their chins. Exactly. Oh my God, really?
Exactly. Because, personally, people don't have discipline. And that's the biggest problem, what I think is going to happen. People don't have the discipline to wear that thing. If I can wear it for 12 hours a day, I would say 10 hours a day. Because when I get in the office by myself, I'll take it off. But if I can wear it that long, why can't you wear it to protect yourself? You're only wearing it for your well-being. It's not like you're doing it for me. You're doing it for you. And to see people not being able to, to do it because they're claustrophobic and, they just can't take it. It's all a mentality, and you got to switch your mentality so you can survive.
They have, Celicia has a question, said, do you think that the report of COVID-19 and their deaths are being accurately reported from the hospitals to citizens?
I can't answer that question. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you what goes on in a lot of the hospitals. I know, like, when we have a patient to die, one of the physicians always go and pronounce the patient. If that was a patient with COVID, and we felt like that patient died from the complications of COVID, and we put COVID as the diagnosis. I would like to think that that's what they're doing at a lot of the other hospitals, but things are happening so fast that it's probably, either way, it's too many. Right. So even with everybody saying, oh, the numbers are this, they're saying it's this, and they're saying it's that. Even if only 50 people died from COVID, the ones that I've seen and what they were going through, I don't want to go through it. So that's enough for me. So everybody's using the numbers to justify why they're not quarantining themselves because they think the government is they're lying. I don't care if they're lying or not. I don't even care if the virus was made in Belleglade. I don't care if my brother made it. It doesn't matter who made it. I know what it do to you. I don't want it. So I don't get myself caught up in the conspiracy.
Get some likes.
Huh?
And Janice says, I can't believe they're opening up Disney World in July.
Oh, wow. Because Disney is about to go under. That's the greatest place. That's the happiest place on earth, as they say. But, just imagine the money that they're losing. As you continue to ride by businesses, they're closing, So I think this is the opportunity for us to come up, You spend $325, fix your credit, get yourself 60 to 100,000 in business credit, and now you're on the front lines right now. You have buying power. This is our time to shine. All of those companies that treat us like crap, we can open a pizza shop now because it's easy to get the building. We can open a Chinese restaurant. And
you preaching now, Pastor.
This is the stuff that I talk about on my Instagram all the time. Like, listen, y'all could be doing this. Like, I can't do everything. I want to do everything, but that's how easy it is because this is the time right now. All the companies crash. They're going back to the drawing boards. They crashed while they were still rich and they fired everybody. So they still got money, but the business is closed. They still have enough money to continue to survive the rest of their time. But this is the time for small businesses to get back out there on the front line. But we're too busy messing our credit up over $2,500 on a cell phone bill. And I know what's on people's credit because I'm a landlord. I run credit all the time. And most of the time you have a 400 credit score just because you didn't pay a cell phone bill and a $300 on a credit card. So you got $700 got a 400 credit score, but you spend $600 on a new weave or $300 on a new pair of Jordans and you smoke weed every day, but your credit of 400, this game is easier,
you done got hot now. You started listen, Alicia, why do you think younger people particularly are not taking COVID-19 seriously? The younger people partying, why do you think why?
Personally, I think the young people don't have no substance, so they don't know how to conduct themselves because they don't know anything outside of getting my hair done or getting my new shoes or going to the party and turning up. So that's what they've been bred to do. Like when I was coming up, we didn't have all that. I'm not even that old, but I'm from a perfect time where we didn't have this and now we got all this technology. So a lot of times the kids, they have so much technology and so much information, but they're not appreciating the information and they're caught up in the life right now to the point where it's like, I can't go from partying every week to nothing. I don't know what else to do with myself because that's all I've been doing since I've been an adult. I don't know what else to do with myself. So in this time where they should be taking it serious, it's more fun to just go hang out with your people. And here in Philly, they do a lot of house parties. So people are just meeting at the house. This is what they were doing anyway because, the economy is kind of bad for people here, people without education or without drive. So it's easy to just meet at the house and bring 50 people over and y'all drink. Now it's been exacerbated times 100 because you can't go nowhere. Pennsylvania shut down the liquor store, so they just drive over to New Jersey, which is 20, 30 minutes, get all the alcohol they want, and they're in the house together, and nobody has masks. So it's just terrible, man, but it has to happen. You
Mm. Well, yeah. They want to hear until you're speaking. Yeah, you said they don't want to hear, but you're speaking facts. Tell it. So you get, you turned up at the end of the hour. But no, I love it because, and this is why I wanted you on the show because what you said, and I hope and I pray that more professionals kind of get out of that professionalism and some use some colorful language sometimes because to me that shows the transparency. I know you all have big titles, right? But we need to hear some of that because I don't think we know the good language. We don't know the please stay home and make sure you quarantine and wash your hands. No, we need to keep your ass at home. You don't want to get sick.
know, that's
You
how.
don't have, we're not GoFunding you.
Oh, no, that's how I talk to my patients all the time. I don't curse at my patients, but when I go in the room, I say, listen, because a lot of times you might have a patient that come in with some complications of their chronic illness, and they're cursing out the nurses and this and that. The nurses are calling me saying, can you just come see the patient? She's screaming and yelling and this and that there. So when I go, I'm like, listen, that nurse is working very hard for you. Don't talk to my nurses like that. She didn't do anything for you. The reason that you have COPD because you smoked for 40 years. Am I lying? You smoke. Okay, you smoke. You have COPD. This is a complication of COPD. So don't come to the hospital and give the nurses a problem because if she go home right now, there's nobody to take care of you. Because I don't know how to hook that machine up. She know how to do that. So that's how I talk to my patients. And this, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna let her know. And that's how we should be. It's tactful presentation. You tactfully, get them in line like that. And I do it with no matter all across the board. It may be a group of white people, and everybody's upset that granddad is about to die, and they've been getting the nurses hell all week, and this and that. And now coming out like he's 95. Let me know what would you expect to see happen, And I give it to him raw. I'm like, you screamed at my nurse earlier. Was that called for? Did she cause him to have heart failure? No. Did she cause his blood pressure to go up? No. Did she give the medication that I told him to get? No. So tactfully approaching situations, and you usually get good results from that. And I just approach life like that, tactful and respectful, and you usually can get by pretty good with that.
Well, I love it. I hope we could talk again. I know your kids probably like, Daddy, it's time for you to give us some attention now. you've been on the live forever, but I wanted to let you know you are a lifetime member of the People of Power. So if you have videos you want me to share, let me know. And again, hopefully we can do this again. You taught me a lot. You're very inspiring. And I believe that you are going to do what you want to do. We're going to see you on one of those channels. It may be another one, but you're going to be on something. I believe that wholeheartedly. So don't forget the little people. So I want you just to leave us with a superpower. People of power, we always do this. So really it's a power that you feel other people need right now.
Right. So listen, man, is this for the brown people or is this just for?
No, this for anybody, whoever you think needed.
Well, I think right now the power needs to go to the brown people.
Okay, the brown people. Okay, so the brown people, y'all listen up, brown people.
Listen, this is the thing, right? I know this to be a fact. Brown people don't know how cool we are, like we do some amazing shit, like I always tell my kids that we have melanin, and it's the thing about melanin that it gives you soul. And with that soul, you can do powerful things that a lot of people just can't do, And I was going to do a video the other day, right? But it didn't get enough hearts. When it comes to music, we can listen to it. 5 people can listen to the same song at the same time and all be on a different beat, but everybody is on beat. That's melanin, that's soul, So that's just from a musical standpoint. As Black people, man, we really like the elite race. I remember when I was in PA school and we were going over the OBGYN section, and my professor, who was a OBGYN and delivered over 7,000 babies, he said that black babies are the strongest babies. And then he said, then come the black man, right? And then he says the black boys, and then the white girls, and then the white boys. This was coming from a white man who has delivered so many babies. So he said, usually if a woman had a complication and she had a black girl, that black girl always did best, So right there, this is the information that they already know about us, So everybody knows that we're elite. We're the only people that don't know that we're elite, you know. So, and we don't, because that's why most of the time when we come in contact with people from other races, we quickly let them take the superior role when we really don't know that we're the superior race, you know, like it's something about us, you know, like before slavery, they tried out other slaves, you know, but they didn't make it. So when they got to the black people, we were the ones that were still able to go out there in those fields and continue to work in 100-degree weathers for, you know, years and years and years and come out strong. And with that came more, you know, so we all, you know, with that survival of the fittest, it created what we have today. You know, all of the weak black people, what the weak genes in black people have already been sorted out. Those were the ones that died in the fields. We are a product of what's left, which means that we are the strongest of what was originally created. That's the reason that we're able to do what we do. And if you look, well, you may not know, but if you study medicine, everything that we always studied, they always say black versus white. It was never black versus Chinese versus this, you know, this and that. It was always black versus white, which meant that they seen that we were here, right? Long time ago. So everything that they did, they were just trying to compare and see where they measured up at, you know. And plenty of white people that study medicine and know a lot of genetic stuff, they'll even tell you that black is a superior race. So I tell my kids all the time, think about it. If you were the best at something, I would be mad too that I can't be as good as you. So I understand why a lot of races hate us, because we really like the shit. But until we understand how good we are, then we'll never be able to excel the way that we should. So I would say, black people, man, start reading, man. There's so much information on YouTube. You know, whatever you want to know, you can YouTube it. I'm here to tell you that. Like, I YouTube so much stuff, you know, like if I want to do something on my house, YouTube it. There's a bunch of guys that's giving the game out for free. All they want you to do is like and subscribe and comment. Versus the other guy gonna charge you $4,000 to do it, you know? When you can just go to YouTube and learn how to do anything you want to do, anything you want to do. So from there, you can get a start on something, and then you can turn it into an entrepreneurial standpoint. And then you got to link with the right people to start coming up with the resources, the money. And once you get the money, you got everything else, because we already got the brains. So I would say to the brown people, man, you guys got to just jump out of those shells, man, and go ahead and do what you've been made to do. Don't do what the media tell you to do. Do what you want to do. And a lot of times we're doing exactly what they tell us to do. If they say this is cool today, then we start doing that. You'll never see me do that, you know. I love LeBron to death, but ain't no way I'll pay $300 for his shoes. That's my favorite player, and I'm not a sports player, but I can't pay that. I have the money to do it, but I don't. And as you make more money, you start to want less stuff. So if you still want a lot of stuff, then that means you ain't making enough money.
Wow.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Well, you got a bunch of hearts, and I love it. All right, so we definitely got to have you back on the show. So I'm gonna give you a break for about a couple months, but I'm gonna have you back because I have a feeling in another couple months you will have more to talk about. And I do think that one day, out of your busy schedule, a book is in you. I don't know what kind of book, but something.
Yeah, but I'm too young right now. My story has not been written enough to write a book right now, because so much. My story is no different from anybody else's story. I started at the bottom, and I'm here. I'm not even at the top. So all the books say the same. Oh, I came from this environment. Oh, I had to go through this. It's the same thing in every hood. And then you made some money. So that's why I'm not really into the book thing. It's the same thing at the end of the day. So probably not a book, you know, more so maybe I'll go into some mentoring and, you know, some type of paid.
Your voice definitely needs to be continually heard, because you speak knowledge, and don't ever mute yourself. That's all I'm saying. Just don't ever mute yourself.
So if you want to hear more of me, make sure you go to my YouTube page, PA Ball Landlord, or follow me on Instagram at PA Ball 83. If you follow me on Instagram, that's where you get to know me the best, because that's where I'm petty, that's where I'm funny, I'm goofy, and that's where I'm spitting it at. You know,
that's the petty PA. Okay.
I'm very petty, you know, and don't catch me at work overnight when I'm bored. I'm scrolling through the stories and I'm being petty and I'm correcting your grammar. I'm doing all that stuff. So definitely follow me on the Instagram. And keep up my YouTube page, because it's going to be booming here pretty soon. And I'm going to be doing some interviews and stuff with people just to kind of like show people what they could be, you know.
I love it. Well, I'll definitely be a follower and I'm a fan already. So I appreciate you, Mr. Ball, for being on the show, A People of Power. And please make sure if you felt like he dropped any knowledge today, please make sure you share. I say sharing is caring. We need to make people who are doing great things go viral. So I want to thank you once again.
All right, good people. I appreciate you for having me on the show.
All right. Have a great night. Tell the family hello.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.